Carbs, probably the most misunderstood macronutrient on the planet. Now, some people treat carbs like they're pure evil. Like if you eat a slice of bread, you're going to instantly gain 10 pounds overnight. Let's be clear. Straight off the bat, carbohydrates are not the enemy. They're actually your body's preferred energy source. Here's how it works. When you eat carbs, bread, rice, fruit, oats, yes, even sugar, sweets, your body breaks them down into glucose. That glucose goes into your bloodstream and fuels your cells. Your brain, muscles, and nervous system all run really well on glucose. In fact, your brain alone uses about 120 grams of glucose every single day just to function. No carbs, your brain ain't that happy. Now, glucose is either used straight away for energy or stored as glycogen in your muscles and liver for later use. Think of glycogen as your body's battery pack. When you train, especially high intensity stuff like lifting, sprinting, HIIT training, all that good stuff, glycogen is your main fuel source. And here's the kicker. When glycogen is topped up, you perform better. You can push more weight, train harder, and recover faster. But when it's low, you feel flat, weak, and your performance tanks. That's why athletes carb load before big events. It's literally topping up their batteries. Now, carbs also play a vital role in recovery. After training, refilling those glycogen stores is key to repairing muscle and bouncing back for your next session. Pairing carbs with protein after training doesn't just help recovery, it actually improves muscle protein synthesis too. Now, let's address fat loss, because this is where carbs get demonized. People say carbs make you fat. No, excess calories make you fat, whether they come from carbs, fat, or even protein. Carbs doesn't magically turn into fat overnight. They get stored as glycogen first. Now, only when your glycogen stores are maxed out and you're in that calorie surplus do carbs start to be stored as fat. Now, let's not forget fiber, which is a type of carbohydrate that your body can't digest. Fiber keeps your digestive system healthy, controls blood sugar levels, lowers cholesterol, and keeps you fuller for longer. High fiber diets are linked with lower risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. So carbs aren't the problem. The problem is overeating junk carbs, processed sugary foods that are easy to overconsume. That's not a carb issue. That's a calorie balance issue. Now, these foods are calorically dense, taste incredible, which means you can eat more of it and it's enjoyable. Here's the takeaway. Listen up, take notes. Carbs are fuel. They power your workouts, your brain. Now, before anyone says it, yes, ketones can power the brain as well. However, glucose is kind of the source that it prefers. Your recovery and your overall health all are impacted by carbs. Now, what I will say is, another thing that people will say, carbohydrates are non-essential, which means your body can make glucose, which is true. If you overeat protein over your daily requirement, the excess protein will get turned into glycogen, right? Now, that process is quite expensive for the body, which means you burn more calories when you're turning that protein into glucose. However, with protein being so expensive, that's just expensive glucose. So yes, you're burning a bit more calories for turning the protein into glucose. However, you could just eat some carbs. Also, the other thing, carbohydrates are protein sparing, which means that when you're in a diet that has adequate amounts of carbs, you don't need as much protein because the risk of you utilizing protein as energy is less because you've got the carbs there. It's when you start to lower your calories that you kind of pull from your carbohydrates, but because you're pulling from the carbohydrates, you now have to increase your protein. I'm getting into a bit of a different video, but I'm just trying to cover the basis so that people can't say, oh, you didn't say this, but you didn't say that, you didn't say this, blah, whatever. Carbohydrates are not non-essential. But last time I checked, neither's coffee. If you wake up and, you're dragging balls, you're going to reach for coffee in order to get you through your day. Carbohydrates are just the same. If you are low on carbohydrates, instead of you going and dragging your ass through your workout, have some carbs and get a better workout. If you get a better workout, then you should reap the rewards from that because you'll be able to lift heavier, train with more intensity, and in turn, hopefully, burn more calories and do more, if that makes sense. Cutting carbs out isn't magic. It's unnecessary suffering. And to be very honest with you, I think for most of the population, you don't need to do it. You can get really good and you can look really good still having carbs. In fact, I've trained people who have lost weight, built some good muscle, looks amazing, and they are eating a shit ton of carbs. So unless you're managing a specific medical condition, such as epilepsy, and you're opting for a ketogenic diet, which is fine, or you're following a medical low carb plan, don't fear carbs. Use them wisely. Understand what they do, understand the difference between your complex carbs and your simple carbs, and adjust the intake based on your goals. Remember, they're not the enemy. They are there to boost your body's performance. They are a fuel.